Alright, what's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD1 here, back here by Source. And if you guys have not seen yesterday's video, it was the first part of this two-part video where we're going over some Spider-Man 2 leaks that have came to surface. Again, these are not confirmed. These are all simply rumors. I just would like to talk about them just to see what you guys are feeling on the topic and all that good stuff. So yesterday's video was going over the mechanics and gameplay of that, and there was little spoilers. This video that we're going to go through right now is going to have a lot of spoilers in terms of what could potentially be in the game if these are true, as well as Spider-Man PS4, as well as the novel, what was that novel called? Oh my god, Spider-Man Hostile Takeover novel as well. So it'll be spoiling all of those things. So if you guys want to stay away from spoilers and be, you know, very much just in the clear in terms of Spider-Man 2 story going into the game next year or hopefully the year after that, definitely click out this video. Then there's gonna be spoilers throughout this whole video. Just want to let you guys know up front. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get right into the Spider-Man 2 rumored story elements that will be in the game. Alright, so first up here, this little tidbit is detailing what is alleged to be the opening of the game. So here we go here. So we are going to go over like a bunch of cutscenes in this video. That's essentially what this is going to be. So there's going to be a bunch of different cutscenes. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it, all that good stuff. So let's start with the opening. The game begins with a flyby through the city, showcasing winter environment, leading to an apartment. Peter in his and MJ's apartment. They're video calling, which is really timely as well. This scene elaborates on MJ's whereabouts. Peace talks in Samkiria are concurrently happening as they speak, so she should be heading home in a few weeks after post-war interviews and headlines. MJ asks Peter what's been going on in his life in New York, and Peter confesses that he's rejoined the Daily Bugle as a photographer to help pay the bills. MJ says that shouldn't be so bad, especially if they work together, but Peter webs over a newspaper from the kitchen counter. The headline is that J. Jonah Jameson has returned to his previous position in the company due to financial hardships. That was elaborated on the City That Never Sleeps DLC as well. Speaker then says that they, quote, enjoyed the podcast take but want to return to the roots. MJ reacts negatively to this, telling Peter that she wasn't even informed. Peter apologizes for breaking bad news. Peter's spider sense goes off, but that's where it gets cut short for the meeting. So I do like now how we have Peter and MJ living together. I think that's really cool, and it looks like, you know, MJ will be gone for, I think maybe it sounds like the first act or maybe the first two acts of the game, or maybe at the halfway point she returns to New York, because she did lay out, I believe it was at the end of the game, or it could have been in the DLC. I think it was the end of the game where she was talking about how she was going to be leaving soon to go and cover the war happenings that was going on in the Middle East in that world. And so,
listen, I've been digging into this Samkaria thing. It's a big story, something I feel like I need to be a part of. My boss agrees.
Wait, you're going to Samkaria? When?
Tonight. It's a rapidly developing situation. You and Sable can take care of Hammerhead. You don't need me.
Just because I don't need you doesn't mean I don't need you.
That's sweet. But listen, other countries are ignoring this crisis, including ours. These people are helpless, all alone in the middle of a war zone. If I document what's happening and share it with the rest of the world, it might change things. Maybe even save lives.
Spoken like a true hero. But the thought of you heading into a war zone, it worries me.
Do you trust me?
You know I do.
Then we're good. I gotta go home and pack. I'll call you tomorrow when I get there. I love you.
I love you too.
looks like that's where she is still doing and still doing that thing. Now, I do have something to say that might be a little bit unpopular to a lot of people, but I kind of don't like how Peter is going back to the Daily Bugle as a photographer, and J. Jonah Jameson is coming back there as well. Like, I understand that that is definitely a more of a classic take on those characters and what they're doing in terms of a job, and I understand that, you know, it's very integral to the Spider-Man lore to a certain degree, that, you know, he is a photographer for the Daily Bugle, all the good stuff, J. Jonah Jameson is his boss and all that, but I did enjoy that little, you know, just unique take on what they'd be doing in terms of Spider-Man PS4, where in that game we had Peter still working with Otto Octavius on his college work and all that good stuff in the lab, as well as we had the really cool take of J. Jonah Jameson having a podcast. I think that podcast idea was such a great and modern take on what J. Jonah Jameson would have been doing in terms of, you know, a job, since, you know, in the modern day, newspapers aren't aren't really the biggest publication now in the world right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely having a shift towards more of a digital presence and more of a new media type of take on news. And I thought that was a really good way to showcase J. Jonah Jameson in that format. I just thought it was a really good idea. So the fact that they're kind of backtracking on that, and even though they did sprinkle a little bit of that as well in the City That Never Sleeps DLC, where we had J. Jonah Jameson talk that he was having a little bit of financial struggles and asked for like a coupon for a cab and stuff like that because he couldn't afford the ambulance while he was having like a fake heart attack, all that stuff. That really good clip as well.
Jared, call my doctor and double all my prescriptions. I'm in the red here, folks. Eyewitnesses have confirmed that there is no longer just one Spider-Man, but two of them. I mean, one is bad enough, but I'm having a hard time dealing with the idea of multiple menaces swinging through our beautiful city. It's just... Jared, I might be having a heart attack. I need to lie down, folks. No, don't call an ambulance. It's too expensive. Call a cab. I have a coupon in my wallet. Don't go in my wallet, Jared. I'll do it. I'll do it.
But I do kind of wish that they would have stuck to what made the game unique in that way and the take of that. But I don't know, guys. I feel like that take is going to be a little bit unpopular, the one that I have. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe you might agree with me. Maybe you'll likely disagree with me, because I definitely see a lot of people disagree with me on that take. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And next up here with this next cutscene, we have some pretty cool stuff involving a particular character that a lot of people have definitely been waiting to see. So starting off here, an argument with Eddie Brock and J. Jonah Jameson occurs, with Peter stepping in. This is the first time we've seen J. Jonah Jameson and Eddie in person, and they look fantastic. My contact described Eddie's design as, quote, spectacular Spider-Man-esque in nature. The cartoon show, for those that don't know, big, bulky, and brash. The cutscene ends just as Peter is about to say something. Dr. Connors is also mentioned within the scene. So I love this little bit because, of course, you know, we have heard plenty of J. Jonah Jameson, but haven't seen him in person yet. So being able to see him in his full rage-induced anger management glory is going to be great, as well as, of course, Eddie Brock. Now, we do have one little tidbit from Eddie Brock in the game. He is on, I believe it was Peter's going away card when he left Daily Bugle. I'm pretty sure that's where it is. If not, you know, I'm sorry, but if it is, it'll be up on screen here.
Ah, the good luck card from when I left the Daily Bugle to go into research. Some really great people there. And Jameson.
I think that's the only mention we get of Eddie Brock in the game, so it's great to see that we'll see Eddie Brock in person, as well as have that, like, you know, big, bulky, brash type of Eddie Brock that we are used to in the cartoon show and different stuff like that. So pretty cool to see that they are doubling down on that design specifically, as well as I wonder what they're fighting about. You know, like, I think this is going to be a very, very cool dynamic. It seems like a very good scene that they were shown, so I can't wait to see that, as well as, of course, the elephant in the room, Dr. Connors. Now, he is mentioned as well in the collectibles, as well as in the book. In the book, he's mentioned a little bit more than in the collectibles. I don't remember what was said in the book, but I know he was in there. I might follow up and do a little video in terms of what was said directly in the book as well. I might have to go through that book again. But in the collectibles, we have a blood vial that was from Dr. Connors, and Peter, I guess, was able to engineer a type of serum with that blood that took off the lizard-esque features of Dr. Connors and made him human for a little bit, but it was only temporary.
With this vial of the lizard's blood, I was able to mix up a cure and turn him back into Dr. Connors. Too bad it didn't last.
So he went back to being a lizard, and I think that's where it left off. So we don't know if he's still alive. We don't know if he's dead. We're not sure. But that is a very interesting thing to note there, that, you know, there is a Dr. Connors lizard somewhere out here in this world. And now that it's being brought up again, I can't wait to see if he actually comes in Spider-Man 2. This next one here is very, very juicy. This is a scene between Peter and Harry, and we can already tell where this is going. This is going to be great here. So major one here, in an alleyway, a giant squirming blob of symbiote lays on the ground as Spider-Man approaches it. This is definitely not Venom, but it's definitely a symbiote. My contact described it as a proto-Venom. Some specific dialogue taken from Peter, transcribed poorly by me. I'm sure Yuri knocked it out of the park though. That was just a little joke right there. And then we go into some dialogue here. So I believe this is all what Peter is saying. So then Peter says, "How could Norman do this to you? Harry, it's me. It's Peter. I'm here, buddy. I'm here. Oh, God. Harry, you killed those people? What the hell? Get off. And then the dialogue cuts. The last one is crucial to the scene as the symbiote leaves Harry and bonds with Peter. My contact says that they originally wanted Harry to be Venom, but felt that the introduction of Eddie Brock Venom would make for a lengthier story and would satisfy comic fans. They also want to save Harry for something special later down the line. So from what I gathered within the context of the story, Harry is the first host of the Oscorp created symbiote. It is not alien in origin and was used as a cure for Harry's disease. Harry is ultimately cured by the time the symbiote leaves, so there is no room for him in the future of the story, but at this point he is hospitalized after Peter stops his rampage. Harry breaks free during Act 1 and goes on a manic-filled killing spree, and the scene just described wraps up the events leading into Act 2. So I feel like this outcome was pretty much like heavily alluded to in the end of Spider-Man PS4, where of course we had that really cool shot of Norman looking at Harry in this tank with the symbiote looking S type of things, you know, wrapped around Harry's body and stuff like that. And you know, it has been a long going thing that, you know, in the book as well, Harry is off in Europe, you know, I believe in search of some sort of like, you know, medical treatment to cure him of the disease that, you know, he has. And so I think it's a really cool way to make the symbiote kind of grounded in the world, since that Spider-Man PS4 for the bulk of it is pretty grounded like MCU style in terms of the design of the enemies in that game, where they're all pretty much have like those, you know, armored suits that like look relatively like not you know, too out of the ordinary. Like they just seem like very MCU-esque type of suits and stuff like that, and having the symbiote, you know, be developed where it's off of Norman using the resources at Oscorp to heal his son of his disease. I think that's a very smart way of making the symbiote a thing in this world, but still grounded in reality somewhat to a degree. So I think that it's a really cool way. I think it's a really cool take to put it. I think it's a really cool and unique take to do it as, and it really does build onto you know, Norman having this kind of two-sided thing where he inevitably makes a really bad thing, which is the symbiote, but still is trying to do it for a good cause, which is to save his son and cure him of his disease. So I think that overall is a very cool way to do it. I think it's a really cool way to introduce this into the game. I could see a lot of people being up in arms in it, wanting like you know, wanting a Eddie Brock Venom, but who knows, you know, maybe we can still, you know, have our cake and eat it too and get that eventually. But I think it's really cool here to see this scene where, you know, the symbiote leaves Harry and bonds onto Peter, and this maybe is the first time that Peter gets a symbiote, it seems like. So it's gonna be really cool, man. I can't wait for this. I can't wait to see also how, you know, big of a rampage Harry goes on with the symbiote, how much destruction he causes, how big of an issue that is. I cannot wait. It looks great to me. I really like all of this. And lastly here, probably my favorite part of all this story stuff is the stuff, of course, with Peter and Miles. I know everyone wants to know about that. Everyone wants to just know what is going on with Peter and Miles. And here is a little bit of glimpse that could be true. Again, there's all rumors. Nothing here is factual. You know what I'm saying? At least right now, you know, like nothing's confirmed. But here's what the leak had to say about those two in specific. A few cutscenes and clips are shown stitched together for the sake of time. So it looks like this is like a quick like you know, montage or reel of some sorts. Peter under the influence of the symbiote and Miles are arguing. The black suit then forms around Peter and he jumps off of a roof. Miles stopping a robbery in his classic suit is shown here as well. The speaker also said during this that Miles will also have equipable suits. Let's go. Miles swinging through low building traversal and running on rooftops. Miles using the new web chain mechanic, zipping between rooftops and ledges. And the Miles section ends with him fighting a group just before Peter tags in and the two are fighting together. You're able to switch between both for certain sections. Big homie Norman Osborn is in the lab where Harry escaped. He's tinkering with a few vials of unknown materials, presumably Peter Parker's DNA. Norman Osborn smashing a bunch of equipment as well as throwing a table out of a window. The show reel ended with a fade to black accompanied by Norman's laughter. So, ooh man, there is a lot here to break down. I mean, first and foremost, I love the notion of Peter under the influence of the symbiote arguing with Miles. Maybe Miles is saying like, yo, dude, you're wildin', like you are acting a fool, and then Peter just like, no, this is who I am, like this is me, you know what I'm saying, like or anything like that. I think that sounds so cool to see that dynamic and see you know, the Padawan, if we're talking from Star Wars, like the Padawan challenge the master and what he is leading him to do and different stuff like that. So really cool to see that dynamic. I love, of course, seeing that Miles will have his classic suit as well as have other equipable suits in the game as well. You know, the way that it's worded here, I don't think that Miles will have his own skill tree here. I don't think he will have a, you know, like his own skill tree. I would like him to have one, but I don't think he will. I think he'll just have some basic moves and just like, you know, core moves that like he will always have. And I think that's how they're gonna go, and just have him have different suits as well. So like pretty cool to see that, you know, he'll be acting in that facet. I love him, you know, using the web chain as well. That's some stuff that we talked about early on in another leak as well, about the web chain mechanic and different stuff like that. So really cool to see that he will be utilizing that, as well as, of course, the ultimate dynamic duo, having Peter and Miles fight crime back to back, and that you're able to switch off between both of them. I think that is a great thing. It reminds me of honestly the game that I'm playing right now, Final Fantasy VII Remake, in terms of how you were able to switch off from those characters. And I know a lot of other games do that. That was just one that came to mind immediately. So I do like seeing that, and I would like to see how different they are. Like, is Miles, you know, better up close because he's more, you know, small, nimble, and stuff like that? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see how they differ in terms of combat. But I do like the ability of being able to switch off between them in certain instances. Now, moving on here, we get Norman Osborn here. I do like the prospect of him tampering with Peter Parker's DNA, trying to find, well, I guess maybe like he would know it as Spider-Man's DNA, you know what I'm saying? Because like I don't think he knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man as far as I'm aware, but I think that'd be really cool to see him trying to find a cure for Harry by utilizing the DNA of Spider-Man, as well as him getting frustrated seemingly with him smashing a bunch of equipment and doing all that good stuff. And then of course that laughter is alluding to what MJ found on Norman's desk when she was sneaking into his crib. That was of course the Green Goblin mask, and with that laughter it is clear that they are alluding to that. Let's go. Maybe we will get it in this game. Maybe they're just laying down the groundwork a little bit more for maybe like having that third Spider-Man game be the whole Green Goblin storyline and all that. Who knows? But I do like that prospect of it. But guys, that's pretty much all we got here. Let me know thoughts on all of this. I know there's a lot over here, but let me know thoughts on, you know, Peter and MJ's dynamic, Peter being back at Daily Bugle, Eddie Brock being there as well, J. Jonah Jameson being there as well, the infamous Dr. Connor being mentioned, as well as, you know, all that good stuff. Peter getting the symbiote, having Miles and Peter have a little bit of conflict in terms of like the symbiote and how it's affecting Peter, as well as of course Norman and his pursuit to cure Harry. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And also, while you are down there, do check out our description where you can find our Discord, our Twitter, as well as our Anchor link to listen to our long form content and podcast format. That of course being Road to Part 2 and Save Slot Podcast. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like on it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Stores to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.